Perfect. Well, welcome everybody. We're super excited that you're here for First Wednesday. As a reminder, each First Wednesday call is uploaded publicly to Gretchen's YouTube channel. So this call won't be edited. So if you do not want your image or voice on YouTube, please keep your mic muted and camera off. But as always, we would really love for you to participate and keep your mic on and your camera on. So First Wednesdays are for any coach who wants to build their coaching business. In today's call, we're going to be talking about the flow of a coaching session. So I will hand it back to you, Gretchen, to get us started.
All right, sounds good. Well, hi, everybody. Happy first Wednesday of February. I'm so glad to see you. So, like Olivia said, this group it was made because I love coaches. I love helping coaches. I really like to help them with their businesses and to help them get to their next level of success. And so that's why I created this community group. And I know a lot of times coaches jump in and they jump out of it. So for those of you who are here live tonight, great to see you. Those of you who are watching the replay, parts two, it is Valentine's Day. So there you go. Valentine's Day month. So tonight, what we are going to go over is just like what Olivia said, it's the flow of a coaching session. Now, I know that everything that I do on these particular community calls has to do with how to build your business. So you might be wondering, why would we be talking about how to coach when maybe that doesn't seem like a business building activity? But where I want to drop us in is most of you who come to my group or who are in my other programs, you've heard of my framework and you know that I always like to make sure that there is a connection call that happens with our potential clients prior to a coaching call. And the coaching call I like to use, this would be, let's say that you have a potential client, you have gone through a connection call. The connection call is where you find out, hey, who are you in the world? What do you want to accomplish in the next year? What feels really important to you? Why is that important to you? Where are you struggling with it? Those sorts of things. And we're really always listening in that connection call for their deepest vision and the gap between that vision and what they have. Like, what is getting in their way of this bigger thing that they're saying that they want? Now, there will come a point in the connection call where the person's going to ask you how you work. How do you work? How can we work together? And this is what I tell everyone. You've all heard it on these community calls before that you have to have some requirements. And the requirements are things like, first one is you need to be ready, ready for the changes that you're going to have if you work together. Second one is that this is a commitment to your resources, commitment to your time. And the third requirement is that we coach. And that's where we're going to drop in tonight is the coaching part. Because when a potential client comes to you for that next call, so you've done the outreach, you've done connection, and now you're at the part where you coach. And this one is free, for me at least. This is how I think of my advertising budget, is that I do a lot of free coaching to see if it's a good fit for them and if it's a good fit for me. And this is where you want to think that you are auditioning the client. They're also auditioning you, but you want to see, is this a good fit for your business? Is this someone that you're excited to work with? Are they coachable? And the way that we do that is we stay within the ICF International Coach Federation parameters. We're going to make sure that we are following what needs to be hit for the ICF core competencies to keep in a good coaching frame. So we're no longer doing the connection call where we're finding out all of that background information on the client. What I like to do between the connection call and this complimentary coaching call is tell the client, bring the one thing that if you could move the needle on, it would make all the difference to you. It would make all the difference to you. And the reason for that is I want them to be thinking of something that's important. That way we can see, is this going to work out? So that's where we're going to drop in tonight. And I know that all of you from your different coaching schools and trainings, you all learned something a little bit different, but it's the same in a sense as far as what we do in the coaching call. And that's what I'm going to go over tonight, because when you have a successful coaching call, You have stayed on topic. The client has experienced movement. That is the thing that helps them to bridge the gap. Asking them to bring something important to the conversation will help them to think about what they want to move the needle on and what's important to them. At the end of it, what gets to happen is usually there's more of a conversation about how can you work together. And so the way that I start this particular coaching call, this is before the person is a paid client. And you can still use this same outline when they are a client. But before this person is a paid client, what you are going to do is you're going to say, hey, so-and-so, really glad that we get this time together today. Now, typically when I gift a coaching session, it's 55 minutes, but I lay it out for them of what we are going to do. And I'll say, we've got about 55 minutes together today. I know I asked you to bring something important to the table, but let me tell you what might happen during our time together today. We're going to coach, and at the end, you might feel like we can put a bow on it that you're complete. There might be some resources that I can send to you, and or you might have some questions about how we might work together. Let's get started. And the reason that I do that is because people are always waiting to see when we're going to sell them. And what you want to make sure you're doing during this coaching call is coaching. You are not selling. I want all of your energy to be fixed upon what is this client's greatest need? What is it that they would like to make it to have a difference made on? What is this topic? Why is it important to them? So I'm going to show you the framework of a successful coaching call. Olivia, can you drop the thing? Yeah, thanks. She knows what the thing means. There's a PDF that you all can look at. You can look at it now or not. If it's distracting to look at it and you'd rather just listen and then have the resource later, no problem. But you can have it up just so that it's there for you as well. It's a full coaching script that you can use. It meets all of the ICF core competencies that you need to be hitting at the ACC level for the International Coach Federation. What it also is doing too is it's helping you to go deeper as the coach to actually truly connect with the client and what they're saying that they want. Now, as coaches, one of the things that's really important is we're listening for the nuances when we coach. So when a client comes to the table and they give you their topic, we're going to go deeper. And so I'm just going to go through this framework with you. I'm going to give you time to ask questions. And then my hope is that after this, you guys go out and you use it, practice, see how it fits for you. You learn something similar to this, I am positive, at your coaching school if it was ICF accredited. It just might be different words, but I'm sure the format is very, very similar. But this is going to be one of the things that sets you apart as a good coach. Prosperous coaches know how to coach and they know how to stay on track. So what you want to do after you have set it up for the client with, what's going to happen in your time together, you want to ask the question, what would you like to work on today? What would you like to be coached on today? It can be either thing, but what we're doing is we are getting the topic for the session. And I call this the WOW framework with three W's, WOWW. And the first one is we are determining what the topic of the session is. It's the what. So what would you like to be coached on today? This is the best question to ask your client. We're just going to go with the word client for tonight. It's the best question to ask your client. What's going to happen next is the client's going to say a lot of words or not so many words, right? Some clients are like, well, blah, 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 blah. Or they say, I want to coach on writing my book. And it's one sentence. So either way, what you want to find out next is one, tell me more. This is a clarification question. And what happens with this is you get to help the client either expand or bottom line what it is that they want to talk about. So when you have a client that has said, well, I just have so much going on right now. I've got this book I want to write. I want to start investing in real estate and I want to learn how to skydive. It's like, wow, that sounds really, really interesting. Tell me more about why that's important to you. or tell me more about what specifically you'd like to focus on for tonight. For the client who just says, I'd like to write a book, you can say, tell me more about that. So either way, it's either we're opening and expanding or we're drilling down, but we want to make sure that we have an agreed upon topic. So let me just pause there. Everyone with me? Anyone have any questions on this? Comments? Scanning, scanning. Okay, looks like we're good to go. Thanks, Mallory, for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. So what would you like to be coached on today? They tell you and you say, tell me more. Now, the up level for you here is to find out what the most important part of that is before you decide that you both have an agreed upon topic. Once you think you have the agreed upon topic, okay, so you'd like to talk about writing your book. Then you're going to go to the O of WOW, which is the outcome. What this means is, what would the client like to achieve or walk away with from your session? So the outcome isn't, I'd like to have a published book. Great. We know that that's where they want to go and those sorts of things. But what do they want to achieve in this session around that topic? This is really important. So we're just going to go with the book analogy because I've got it on my mind because I'm looking at Christy and she's our book coach. And so here's the way that it would sound. You'd say, okay, so I hear we're talking about your book today. What specifically would you like to achieve regarding your book in our 55 minutes? And what that does is it creates the parameter. It's not what would you like to achieve? It's not what's your lifetime goal. In this 55 minutes, what are we doing around your book? Do not coach until you know what that is. So when we're thinking of outcome might be that they want to make a decision. Maybe it's they'd like to create a list. Maybe they want to figure out why they're not doing the thing that they say they're doing. But there is some kind of tangible outcome that you can help them to get to by your questions. So some people start coaching after that, but you will get dinged by the ICF because the next question always needs to be the next W, which is understanding what achievement of that goal means to the client. So it's the measurement the measurement question. It's how will you know that you've achieved this today? So if the client says, I want to have a decision, well, how will you know? You might feel silly asking that because you're like, well, it'll be a yes or a no. You'd be surprised, not always. Sometimes like, well, I'm going to feel different. Or maybe they have a feeling. Maybe it's like, I will have less anxiety. Oh, okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you currently with your anxiety? I'm an 8. Where would you like to be by the end of our session? I'd like to be a 4. So you're getting that. You're getting the topic, you're getting the outcome, and you're getting the measurement. All three are very, very important. And then from there, what we want to do is clarify. So before you start coaching, make sure that you have those 3 components of the topic, outcome, and measurement. Once you do, you repeat them back to the client. So Gretchen, it sounds like we're working on your book today. You would like to have an outline of the first 3 chapters by the time we're done in 55 minutes. And the way that you're going to know that you have that is you will have 3 chapter titles and 3 subpoints for each chapter. Do I have it right? Okay, so that's the way we make sure we do it. And you do not coach until you've repeated all of it back and you are certain that you guys have an agreement. So let me pause there. What are you hearing in that? What feels important to you regarding this part of the setup?
Just sorry, I have the flu.
Oh, okay.
I know I had it this weekend too. I'm like still in it. It's not going away, guys.
Get
Stay
it?
healthy. It's
Get it?
terrible.
Oh my gosh.
But
Okay.
what I'm hearing is to constantly be clarifying and making sure you're on the same page.
That's right. That's right. Because when you're on the same page, you're not guessing. Sometimes we think a client means something, but it's not really what they mean. The other thing is, if you don't have the agreed upon topic, outcome, and measurement, you might be asking questions that have nothing to do with anything. And so when we're coaching, we want to make sure, I call it the railroad tracks. You got topic on one side, you have measurement on the other side, and you have the outcome in the middle. You are only asking questions about the outcome, really. You're not even asking so much about the topic. It's okay, so Gretchen, you want these 3 chapter heads. Where would you like to start? What have you already thought of? Those sorts of things. That way you're staying on topic. There are a lot of squirrel when you're coaching. There's so many things that we can get distracted with, but when we know the topic, outcome, and measurement, it helps you as the coach stay on track and your client. And Christy, had you raised your hand? Yeah, go ahead, unmute.
I Kate just nailed what I was thinking, but I question is what if their outcome for 55-minute session is unrealistic?
Okay, so tell me what you mean by unrealistic.
Well, in the book example, what if they're like, well, I'd like to outline my book in this session. It's not
Okay.
really possible to outline a book in a 55-minute session.
Yeah, so you would know that. You would know that. And so what you could ask is, okay, so I'm hearing that you'd like to outline your book. How much of the outline are you trying to get done in this 55-minute session? And maybe they say something like, well, I want 10 chapter heads, chapter titles. You could come up with 10. You could brainstorm. I mean, you could. You wouldn't get everything in the book, but you get really clear with them about what does it mean. Yeah, good. Okay, after you know the topic, outcome, and measurement, you want to ask the client the motivation question. And that is, what will it mean to you to have this or to achieve this? And this is where you start to get substance. Well, if I could finally have that outline, then I would have something that I could follow. And if I had something I could follow, then I wouldn't sit at my computer and wonder, what the heck am I supposed to be writing? And things would be more clear. So you're going to get to hear what the bigger vision is for your client. From there, you want to ask them, it's the most natural question, where would you like to start? So a lot of times coaches try to ask something, that sounds really good or whatever it is. And that's fine. If you have a great question, go ahead. But asking the client where they want to start creates that partnership that the ICF talks about. We have a partnership with our client in coaching. So we're not directing them to where to start. Where would you like to start? And they might say, well, can we brainstorm? Or they might say, when I was just telling you what it would mean to me, what I'm realizing is I have this lack of motivation. Can we talk about the motivation? And you'd say, great, tell me about motivation. But what you want to make sure of is that in your coaching, you are staying on topic, outcome, and measurement. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't explore other things that come up. If someone says motivation, but they wanted the outline for their book, you can talk about motivation for a little bit and then say, okay, now that you've realized that about your motivation, tell me what you've thought about for the outline of your book, what's coming through. So you just keep coming back to that outcome and that measurement. Let me pause there. What are you hearing in this, or what questions do you have? Anyone with anything? Christy.
So I'm hearing that this is a way to kind of guide them and reduce that squirrel effect that everybody does.
Yes.
Keeps the focus during that 55 minutes so that there is an outcome.
That's right. And when we tie that back to client creation, people pay for outcomes. People pay for movement. People pay to move forward. They don't pay just to have a great conversation. They can do that for free. Dynamic Donna.
Keep forgetting to change my name. Sorry. I like the way I'm hearing your flow, and I could see by attending these sessions and listening to the Prosperous Coach book how the practice really does set in and really help fill in the gaps, because I feel very disjointed Like I
Yeah.
could see the point here, I could see the point here, and I like the way it's flowing. And I look forward to finding that comfort level as well.
Well, that PDF that Olivia dropped in is going to help you to be able to really look at it and study it and to try that out with your own clients. So I'm glad, there is something very important about the flow, both for you and for the client, so that there's like safety rails in a sense, like when we're bowling and you put up the bumpers, nobody gets too far off track. You can't really go in the gutter because the bumpers are there. So that's why this works. So then we
Thank you.
keep coaching. You're welcome, Donna. We keep coaching, and about midway through, you need to do what's called a midpoint check. Now, the midpoint check is really important because if you've gotten off track or if the client's gotten off track, it still gives you time to get back on track. Maybe you did start talking about a squirrel. Maybe it is one of those things. It can happen. But what you get to say is, hey, so we're about halfway through. And you repeat the topic, outcome, and measurement. I know you said that you wanted to talk about your book and that you wanted to create an outline of three of the create chapter heads and three points for each of the top 3 chapters. How are you doing? Not how are we doing? How are you doing? Are you getting what you need? And this gives them time, because you've given back the topic, outcome, and measurement. This gives them time to reflect. Well, am I getting what I need? And remember, as the coach, this isn't where you panic. It's not where it's like, oh my gosh, maybe they're not getting what they need. Why would I ask this? What if they say that they're not and they want to fire me and they think it's terrible? No. What it shows is that you're a professional. Conversations can go anywhere. You're very open to moving the conversation around if it needs to be, but are you getting what you need? They're going to say yes or no. Either way, the next question is, what's still missing? Regardless if it's yes, I'm getting what I need, what's still missing, because there's something. If it's no, I really thought, okay, I'd like to focus more on blah, blah, blah. Great. It's good for you because you get to hear your next question based on the what's still missing. They're going to tell you, and then you can ask something around that. Keep coaching until they get to their desired form of measurement. So sometimes coaches think when you get to the question, are you getting what you need? And then what's still missing, that it's time to wrap it up. But it's not necessarily time to wrap it up. You keep coaching and you go another layer deeper. So let's say that the client says, yeah, I already have those 3 chapter heads, and we did get the sub points, and you ask what's still missing. They can say, well, can we do chapter 4? Great. They say, I'm wondering, I'm actually feeling like an imposter because I don't really know much about this topic, and who am I to write on it? Great, coach around it. So you keep coaching, you keep coaching. If they truly feel complete on that topic, you can do a new topic. Okay, so we still have 30 minutes left. What would you like to coach on next? And you make a new agreement. Okay, tell me a new topic, outcome, and measurement. Because in coaching, there's time for us to do a lot of times 2 topics within a coaching session. It's no problem. Okay, so we keep coaching, we get to that form of measurement. Then you want to ask at the closing, what you want to do is you want to ask the client, what did you learn about yourself today? Instead of you doing a big summary of, well, you said this, and then you wanted that, and then this, coaches talk too much. It's what did you learn about yourself today? What are you taking away? Let them tell you. Once you know that, it's like, okay, so in regard to that, what action do you want to take between now and our next session? What feels important to you? Let them tell you, and then ask, is there anything else that you want to say before we close out today? And then you acknowledge them for the good work that they have done. You really want to acknowledge them. You want to make sure that they feel heard, and acknowledge them for what they've been able to do and to accomplish. And then from there, what happens when we are on that complimentary coaching call is you get to say, so that's what coaching is like. What do you think? What did you get? And this is where then they get to ask you questions about enrolling with you. This is where you get to see how motivated are they really? Are they a good candidate for coaching? And you will both know from this kind of a conversation if there is another step to take. For some people, they're going to say, wow, that was great. Thank you. I feel really complete. You'd say, okay, do you have any questions about us working together? No, I'm good for now. Okay, great. Maybe send them an article or a resource. For some people, they're going to ask you money questions. How would we work together? But for you, this is where you're really paying attention when you're thinking about your highest recommendation of how could you work with them? It's like, okay, so we've had that connection call and now I've coached you. My highest recommendation is still that we work together for 6 months, because even from this, I can see you're very coachable. Look at all that we did just this one time in 55 minutes, and coaching builds on itself. So if we were to work together for this amount of time, just imagine your overall reaching goal of whatever you know about them. We could get a lot done because we're going to create your strategic plan as we do this too, your roadmap. So there's a lot that you can say here when you're working with your potential clients in a coaching session to help get them over the line. And what I have found is that doing an actual coaching session where they can experience coaching and experience you is the very best way to be able to see who is a good client and who is a good fit. And it's a good way to take away their questions when they don't really understand what coaching is. It's like, okay, let's just do it so that you can see what it is. So let me pause there. I've said a lot. We've covered that flow of a coaching session. You have it to take with you. Tell me what you're wondering, either about this, how it fits into the client creation, questions that you might have about the session, or anything else so that we can kind of go deeper here.
This is just a comment. I really appreciate the midpoint check. That's new to me. You know, sometimes if a client goes toward a different topic, I'll check in and say, you know, the topic and outcome you had established is this. Do you still want to work on that? But I really love that it has this midpoint anchoring to the North Star, and it gives them a space to stay tethered to that. Especially in a demo coaching session when it's their first touch point, like they really get to feel that this is about driving toward that outcome that matters to them. So
That's a really,
can't wait to try it.
Yes, and that's such a good point, because what it shows them too is that you're driving the car together. You're driving it together. You're not the one in charge, but they're not the one that is going to like go all over the place. They're in a safe environment and they can say the thing, but that you are going to be able to keep it on track to what they said that they wanted, although they can change their mind, and that's okay. Yeah, midpoint check is so helpful. It's one of my favorites. You know, I can remember at the beginning, I didn't say it as boldly as I say it now. I didn't say like, are you getting what you need? I think I just said something like, you said you wanted this and we've covered that. And then I just kept going. I wouldn't ask, are you getting what you need? Because I was so afraid, like if they said no, what if they want their money back? What if they don't sign up? It doesn't happen that way. Instead, it refocuses you and it refocuses them. Who else? What are you wondering or comments? Christy.
So back to the closing part. So let's say they go, oh, I feel great, I'm complete, bye. What do we touch base with them later? Do we just let them go? What do we do?
Good. So what you want to say is something like, I'm so glad that you feel great. And I wonder, where would you want to take it from here? Where could this go from here for you? Or maybe they say, I feel great. Then what you could say is, good. I know you said you wanted to commit to these 3 things, whatever they are. Let's schedule 30 minutes next Tuesday and see how that went for you. So you might do that as well. Sometimes, like if they're like, I feel great, bye, I'll say, hey, let's have a schedule. Let's follow up next week and see how did it go? Because a lot of times it's in the follow-up, they didn't really do the thing that they said that they would, and they notice that that's the part where they're going to need some help. Or they say, I didn't. You say, okay, so what's next? And they get to see that this is how the coaching relationship would work. Good question. Donna.
Okay, say you're speaking with someone. We'll take the book example again. And they're just either so stuck or in their head or can't see the forest from the trees. And when you ask them, where would you like to start? What if they can't find that or clarify that? How do you direct?
This is,
helping them.
yeah, this is really good and it can happen, but this is where you have to stay in your lane as a coach. So if I say, okay, so I hear that you want to talk about your book today, make sure you ask the question in a good way that it's, we have 55 minutes together in our session. What do you want to accomplish around your book? And they're like, I don't know. I don't even know where to start. And you just listen and you reflect back. So I'm hearing that you don't know where to start. Tell me a little bit about what would feel like a win to make this time important today if you could walk away with it. So you just keep asking the question in different ways to help them get there, and you reflect back what you've heard. What can happen for coaches is they get frustrated and they just start coaching on anything that they've heard. Oh, so you don't know where to start. Well, let's coach on where to start. What are all the things that have to happen with the book? But you don't have an agreed upon topic, outcome, and measurement. And so it would never pass ICF standards. You
Mm.
have to wait. And I will even slow my clients down and say, it's really okay not to know. That's what this time is for. And I can hear that you don't know, you just told me that you've never written a book before. This is new to you. And so I wonder, let's slow this down. What would be helpful for you if you could figure it out today, this one piece? Or what would you, if you got really laser focused, what would create movement for you if we could accomplish that today? So it's all in the way that you direct it and the way that you ask the question, but I don't embed the answer into that question. I don't say, well, sounds like you don't know much about books. So why don't we, with this time together, da, 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 da. You don't say that because that's leading the client.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hard not to as well, especially in the
Oh yeah.
beginning.
It takes a lot of practice.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Who else? What are you wondering? Yeah, Christy.
Me again, I'm sorry.
Okay, go
My
for it.
brain's working overtime. So then on the other side, if they're just like, wow, this was fantastic, and how do I work with you?
Mhm.
At that point, then how do you slow it down again and send the contract or
Yeah,
what?
so this is a great question. So what I do if someone says, wow, that was great, how do I work with you? I re-go over the requirements and I say, okay, so we talked about you needing to be ready. You said you were. We talked about commitment. You said you were, and now we've coached. Tell me a little bit about what worked for you in this. So what worked for you in this? What do you feel the most excited about moving forward? And then I'll say, all right, so my highest recommendation is what we talked about, when we first met. And then I'm quiet. Tuition for this program is. This is where you're going to hear their money objections. That's a lot of money. I don't know, whatever it might be. And you stand firm in your price and you're just quiet. You let them process what that's going to be for them and what it means to them to invest X amount of dollars. Um, if they say, can you send me over the details? No, you're going to talk about it right now. And I'll say, oh, I can, but let's talk about it right now. Tell me what you're wondering. What details specifically are you wondering about? And you go over because we're professionals. We don't have to hide through an email or anything like that. A lot of times too, people who say, can you send me an email? They're not ready because they just want the email and they never want to talk to you again. It was a great conversation. Bye. What Something to know when a client either says that's great or send me the details, but they don't want any further movement is that you didn't go deep enough. They didn't get enough value from it. It was nice, but it was surfacey, something that maybe they could have done on their own. So you always want to be listening when you're coaching, not just to the goal line, the, 3 chapter heads with the subs. What's the soul line? What's in here? That's why you ask that question about what would it mean to you to have it. That way you can coach around that as well. That way you can hear some of their blocks that are going to come up. So that's what you want to do. And then if they do say, yeah, I'm ready, let's move forward, you'll know that they're ready when they ask you questions like, how do I make the first payment? When can we schedule? Those are people who are ready. The other ones, they're kind of ready. It's like, yeah, but they're not ready. So you're looking for a level of readiness. So what I tell people is, okay, so here's what comes next. I'm going to send you over the contract. And I'm going to send you over the link for payment. Once I receive your payment and the signed contract, then we can get scheduled. Then we can schedule. And that's the way that you want to do it. That way, if too much time has gone by, you can take it off the table. It's like, Christy, you know, it was wonderful coaching with you last week. I know that you said you were ready to get started. Hadn't heard from you. Why don't we close the loop on this for now and you can let me know when you're ready? Because we're a professional the whole way through. Good.
And follow up to that, didn't you say also never chase them? Never chase them?
Yeah, don't
Okay.
chase them. That's why I will do a close the loop, but I'm not going to chase them. I might send an email over with their vision and telling them that we're going to create a strategy and go over their mindset. I might send an article or a resource. What I don't do is, hey, Tamara, just checking in. I don't do that. Tamara,
Yeah.
power of suggestion with your name.
Back to, the sense of you have this outcome and this measure. What if you don't get there with the client in the session? Is it that you didn't define a narrow enough outcome or measurement?
Sometimes it can be that, but the way that you can save that is at the midpoint check. So let's say that I wanted the 3 chapters, but when when the person starts coaching me, all I can talk about is what an imposter I feel like who am I to write a book and whatever else. At that midpoint, when my coach comes back and says, hey, you said you wanted this, but I noticed we're talking about this. Would you like to change the outcome? That could be a good place to restate it. Or let's say that you realize that it's just too big, that it's really, really big, and you ask them, what's still missing? This seems like it might be something that's going to be ongoing. You trust that you're going to get enough movement by your questions to help them at least get a breakthrough. Sometimes people don't hit the entire measure. Sometimes people say they want 6, whatever, by the end of the session, and you have 4. Sometimes people say they want to go from a 2 to an 8 in happiness, and they only get to a 6. It's okay. You trust the process with that. It's the small 3 degrees of movement that we're looking for in all of our sessions.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, group. We can end early if people don't have other questions. That's what I had for you tonight. Anyone else have a burning desire? Yeah,
I don't have a
Mallory.
question, but oh, sorry. I just wanted to say thanks to
Yeah.
Chrissy and everyone for their questions because they really helped me. So, yeah, thanks.
Good, Mary Grace. Thank you. Mallory, go ahead.
I have a question. I have a prospect who has rescheduled their connection call twice. And at this point, I'm ready to close the loop because I don't think that they are ready.
They're not
And I
ready.
just wanted to gut check that.
Yeah, they're not ready. People who keep like one time, okay, maybe something really did happen, but 2 times they're not considering it important. So what you want to say is, have they asked you right now, like, hey, can we reschedule again? And this
Yeah.
would be time for 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. What you want to say is, Gretchen, it's been so nice connecting with you. What I'd like to do is take this off the table for now. When you're ready and you can make this a priority, let me know and we can revisit. Wishing you the best of luck.
I love that. It's that same language of I'm going to take it off the table. You let me know when you're ready.
You let me know, and then you do not email them again.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Good. Okay, let's hear a few takeaways. What did you get from tonight? What did you learn?
A good reminder for me was really getting clear on the measure before you start coaching. I think I've noticed I get excited and I want to get into coaching, but if we're not clear on the measure, then it's not going to go well. So,
Yeah, I mean, it will go somewhere. It just won't go as far as it could have.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mary Grace. Christy, I saw your hand.
very similar to that. I feel like this was a missing step between what I've done before and then people usually come to me fully ready. So but this is better because you can ease in a little bit and get that connection going. I like this. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Very great.
I'm glad it was helpful. Donna.
I would say to trust the process, and it seems like a dance. And you really have to find the rhythm that works for both of you to really get in there to be able to help them as much as they will allow you to.
That's right. Yeah. Anyone else? Kate.
I just feel like with what we've gone through before and what we went through tonight, like for me personally, the language you use is much more language I would use when I did my first, certification training. The language I was being taught just didn't sound like me at all. So I'm just like super appreciative for like alternative language, because when I was trying to do it bullet point by bullet point the way I was taught, I was like, I felt like a fraud. Like I was like, I don't talk like this. And now working with you, I feel like it's much more natural to how I would speak. And with that, becomes more comfortable for everybody else,
Yes, and I'm so glad to hear that, the language, we can all make it our own, but we have to make sure we're crystal clear. The clearer you are, the better your client can answer. And when we're not clear and it's like, so what do you want to talk about today? Sounds like we're gonna have some kind of a casual conversation. That's not what we're doing. And with all of our language, it's very specific in the way that you want to say it. You can make it your own, but I'm glad it resonates. Yeah. Josh.
Thanks. I had a quick question, actually, now that I've had a second to process this all. I actually had a connection. Actually, you coached me on this. This is like over a year ago, but I reached out. This is like right after I finished my certification. I reached out to a music manager, and wanted to coach, just to coach his artists or coach his team. And for some reason, I forgot what happened, but I actually had to cancel because I realized I messed up on a scheduling thing. And then we then I canceled, and then I followed up with I got COVID. That's what happened. I got COVID and I was supposed to go into his office, and I was like, I got to cancel. And then I followed up with him, and then he was like, and then he canceled on me, and he canceled on me again. And then I kind of just like was like, or he canceled on me once, and then I said, oh well, let me know another time. And then he didn't really follow up after that. And then I saw him at like a Grammy event, and like it was really weird. It was just a really weird exchange after that. So I don't really know what my question is. I guess it's just, you would, in that scenario, would you probably just be like, it's like you wouldn't really try or follow up with it?
I would try, and I would make sure that even when I was interacting, even if it was someone that I knew casually or from the past, that I was professional the whole way through. So if I had to cancel because I had COVID, I would clearly let them know, I'm so sorry, I have COVID. It's not a great time. I want to be my best when we're talking, and I would like to not give you COVID. And then if they cancel, okay, and then the next time you bring it back on the table, what you say is, I wonder, is now a better time for both you and I to reestablish what we were originally going to speak about? Does this still resonate for you? And if you hear from them or not, it's okay, but then you can do the close the loop conversation. That way, what happens is when we see people in the world, it doesn't have to be weird. Doesn't have to be weird. When you close the loop and it's like, hey, so-and-so, I know that we were going to talk. I got COVID and then you had to cancel. Is this something that you'd like to re-explore, or should we close the loop on it for now?
So just always be in control, ultimately.
Always, it's really not even so much control, it's clear. Always be clear. It's the ambiguity that made you feel weird at the Grammys.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Great question. And now what we're really talking about, Josh, is the nuances, right? About professionalism, that professionals don't need to feel weird about it. It's like, does this fit or does it not? Maybe he thought he was doing you a favor or something like that. I don't know how that went, but whenever we want to establish it, we can ask, is this something that's still of interest to you? And if not, let's close the loop.
Okay,
It'll put you back in that professional standpoint.
cool, thanks.
Yeah, great questions, everybody. Anyone else have a question or a takeaway? Lindsay or Errol, I know your faces aren't showing, but did either of you have anything you wanted to share?
No, not at the moment, actually. I'm just taking it all in.
Okay, nice to be with you.
This was just a great reminder for me, so thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Lindsay. All right, my coaches. It was great to see all of you. This replay will be on YouTube. It'll also be in the Coaching for Coaches community. And I hope that you all have a wonderful month. We'll be back here, I think it's actually March 5th. Yeah, March 5th. And we'll see you then.
Thank
Take
you,
good care.
everyone.
Good care, coaches.
Thank you.
Bye.